Good afternoon, Mets fans, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and boy, what a difference playing against a really crappy team makes for the Mets. The tonic they needed, perhaps, was getting out of Citi Field and getting on the road, where the Mets started yesterday a series in Cincinnati with the Reds, and will continue their road trip in Philadelphia against the Phillies. The key point that I'm making with both of those trips, both of those away series, is that both stadiums are bandboxes, and that can only help the struggling Mets offense. Last night, the Mets put up 7 runs in Cincinnati in support of the young Irishman P.J. Conlon, who pitched 3 2/3 innings in his major league debut. Did a serviceable job starting the game, but the concern for me going into the start last night was, frankly, that I didn't know how much length Conlon would award the team, and not surprisingly, he didn't even make it out of the 4th inning. The reason I'm concerned about that is that the Mets had to burn Paul Sewald in relief, who pitched as always, pitched very well in relief. But they also had to use Robert Gsellman, and they also had to use Familia in what ended up being a save situation, because the Reds kept clawing back into the game. That is the downside to playing in a bandbox. That not only does it help your offense, but it also helps your opponent's offense. And the concern that I had about Conlon last night is the fact that Jason Vargas is on the mound tonight. And not sure if you guys have followed this, but Jason Vargas has not been great in his first 2 starts. He, with his 16.20 ERA heading into his 3rd start. I don't know that the Great American Ballpark is going to do any favors to Mr. Vargas this evening. I do maintain, however, that Vargas will be just fine, and that he'll get through this early season slump and become the stabilizing force who can eat some innings and provide some quality pitching in the middle of the rotation for the Mets. However, I don't know that tonight and his outing in Cincinnati is going to be an indication of improvement, because the Reds can hit home runs. They don't win very many games, but they can hit home runs, and Great American Ballpark is a bandbox. Speaking of home runs, the Mets offense did bust out last night. Home runs from Conforto. In fact, he hit a leadoff home run on the second pitch he saw. 2 home runs, a home run from Jay Bruce, 2 home runs from Adrian Gonzalez. So nice to see the bats coming alive, which is what you'd come to expect from a team that has the offensive firepower that the Mets have, and are getting on the road and being able to hit in a hitter-friendly environment. So again, though, with Vargas going tonight, speaking of that hitter-friendly environment, if he is unable to successfully navigate through the Cincinnati Reds lineup and ends up throwing up another little clunker or a stinker, the Mets bullpen will be extremely short at the end of this evening's game if Vargas can't get the job done. And that then puts some added pressure on Zach Wheeler, who will pitch the finale of the series on Wednesday afternoon, to provide some length and rest the bullpen a little bit. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's instead focus on the now. Mets do play tonight. I'm hoping to see continued offensive output from the team, including from catcher Jose Lobaton, who did actually make some decent contact last night. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Shifting gears, I said yesterday I probably wasn't going to talk about him again, but Matt Harvey's name continues to come up in the news, and I was surprised to read and learn that there are some teams that are interested in trading for Harvey. The 2 teams that seem to have the most interest right now are the Texas Rangers and the San Francisco Giants. And then I guess just this morning I read a little bit about maybe the Reds are interested. I personally think Harvey going to Cincinnati, as I just talked about, Great American Ballpark being an absolute nightmare for pitchers. For a guy who has a 7 ERA in what's supposed to be a pitcher-friendly park in Citi Field, I don't know that a switch to Great American Ballpark will do the trick. So I think the two candidates right now appear to be the Rangers and the Giants. Texas is an interesting fit only because Dan Warthen is in the organization as an assistant pitching coach, and he's got an existing relationship with Matt Harvey. That might make Harvey more comfortable going there. I don't know that the Rangers are going to give up anything of value for Matt Harvey, but it's interesting that there are some big league teams that are interested in Harvey and getting him there. The Giants are an interesting one as well. I think the Giants actually are a better fit than Texas, if only because the Giants Stadium, which I always call Pac Bell Park, I don't know what it's really called, maybe AT&T Park or whatever it's called. That's a real pitcher's park. I mean, there are fewer stadiums where it's harder to hit home runs than that beautiful ballpark in San Francisco. So that makes a lot of sense from that regard for Harvey. But at the end of the day, it does appear as though the Mets will end up trading Harvey. They're more than likely going to end up eating a lot of, if not all of, that $5 million salary that they tendered him this year. So that's going to be interesting, and it'll be nice if the Mets can get anything in exchange for Harvey, even if it's a garbage bullpen arm or something. Just anything to bring back in exchange for Harvey. Never thought we'd be to this point where Harvey would be utterly worthless, but we are. We're here, and again, I hope he's able to reclaim his career and find some success. But having read and learned more about thoracic outlet syndrome, it's not something that you come back from 100%. Those pitchers who have come back from it have not had success. Certainly, have never been able to reclaim being the pitcher that they were before the surgery, and a lot of them have to retire early because of it. Jaime Garcia seems to be the only exception to that rule, and maybe it's interesting. Maybe in 10 or 15 or 20 years. There's a framework in place for thoracic outlet surgery that's sort of like normal, like Tommy John surgery is today. Tommy John surgery years ago was looked at as, well, the career's over. And medicine is advanced in such a way that it's not the end of a career. In fact, many pitchers are better and stronger when they come back from Tommy John surgery. So who knows, maybe the case with medicine will expand, that in 10 or 15 years, maybe there's a Matt Harvey surgery, and it's the cure for thoracic outlet syndrome. I don't know. But again, I do hope to see the Mets get something for Harvey, and that Harvey gets a chance to go out on his own terms, I guess. So that'll wrap it up for today. I appreciate your watching. Again, the Mets play tonight in Cincinnati. I will be back tomorrow. Probably be back tomorrow after the afternoon game to cover both tonight's game and tomorrow's. I'm not sure about that, but that's my preliminary planning. So until then, I appreciate your watching. Please follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.